Choice of Robots, which is written by Dr. Kevin Gold, PhD. So last time in the story we have Miku, who's our small wooden robot, who has the intelligence of a toddler, is slowly starting to learn about the world, has been interviewed by a journalist called Mark, and news that there's a fairly intelligent robot that is learning stuff is spreading throughout the world and causing some controversy. Just gonna have a quick sip of water. I'm not drinking tea today. I've had, well, I want to save the tea for later because I'm going to be sleeving up loads of Magic the Gathering cards. I'm sleeving up all 500 cards I'm going to put in my cube, which is a set of cards that you share with other players. It's the nice, friendly, cheap way to play Magic for everyone else but the person making it. I love it. Okay, let's go into the story. Let's see if I can remember everyone's voice as well. You make your way across campus to the computer science building, a newly constructed tower of glass amidst the stucco and shingle mission architecture of the rest of the school. Stucco? What does that mean? Let me just Google that. Stucco? Is it stucco or stucco? I'm fascinated in learning new things. Stucco. Fine plaster used for coating wall surfaces or molding into architectural decorations. It's not as exciting as I thought it would be. Professor Ziegler's office smells like cigar smoke and is decorated with posters advertising robot conferences with acronyms for names. And years before you were born, AAAI 89. I was born in 1989. IJCAI 92. IROS 94. Professor Ziegler himself is sitting back in his swivel chair at an angle that makes the fluorescent lights reflect off his aviator glasses so you can't read his expression. There are two simple wooden chairs in front of his desk, both empty. Professor Ziegler bids you sit with a wave of his hand, and you do. But before we go further, let's get some unpleasant business out of the way. I've forgotten his accent, I'm sorry. Professor Ziegler leans forward. You did an extremely foolish thing in speaking to the media directly without speaking to me first, Professor Ziegler says quietly. And you were still more foolish to speak ill of me. Oh, I should have thought about him reading the newspaper article. What do I do? Man, I want to say that. I know in real life I would be a bit cheeky though. I'd probably say, but at least it turned out for the best, right? This is good press. I'm going to say that. He's not going to be happy with that, but it's the way I roll. Professor Ziegler shrugs. In a sense, yes, but you have to be careful, even when with good media coverage, lest your colleagues become jealous and try to tear you down, he pauses. But I suppose I did not give you enough credit before. Miku sounds like a very impressive robot. I should like to see it sometime. Thank you, sir. You suppose this is about as good as you're going to get out of him. At any rate, Professor Ziegler continues, you've now placed me in an awkward position. You clearly can't continue to be my student. The press will assume I am getting my ideas from you, and the other fame-seeking graduate students will try to emulate your insubordination. He hesitates, and you wonder what's coming next. Ooh. I bet he's going to give me like a job at the uni or fire me. Whoa. So I've decided it's time for you to graduate, Professor Ziegler says. Staple a few of your academic papers together and call it a thesis. Whoa, he's letting me graduate early? I thought this was a PhD. I mean, I don't know. I think that can happen. I'm not really sure. It's very strange. Very unorthodox happenings there. Let's see. It's confusing. Thank you, sir, you managed. The only appropriate response for your advisor telling you that he's going to let you leave for a PhD. You figure you can decide later whether or not to follow his suggestion about the form your thesis will take. Get started, Professor Ziegler says with a dismissive wave. I want you done in a month. You take his hint and leave. You then take a 2-hour flight down to Glendale for a taping of the Late Show, not the Light Show. It's like most other such shows, a fake background. Sorry, I can't speak today. Don't know what's going on. Just gonna relax. A fake background of Los Angeles at night to hide the fact that the taping is in the afternoon. A random potted palm tree. A genial old white man in a suit for a host. Streaming internet has not changed the basic equation much. What did you suggest Miku do during the talk show? Demonstrate her ability to shoot things? Make predictions about the future or sing a song? I mean, her name is Miku. Why not? Let's go for it. Oh, I'm sorry everyone, I can hear my stream playing in the background. Anyway, no longer. Okay. Yeah, she's gonna sing a song. Her name's Miku. Miku insisted that her song be a surprise, and you went along with it. The lights dim, and the house band kicks in with the thrill. Sorry. Oh, can't speak today. And the house band kicks in with the trill-like electric guitar and opens the Yeah Yeah Yeahs song, Maps. Never heard that song before. I'll put it on the list. The aggressive tom-toms follow, and then the haunting secondary guitar riff joins in. Miku takes the mic and locks eyes with you. You can hear in Miku's voice a note of desperation and neediness as Ree sings. Wait, they don't love you like I love you. You arrive in your seat. Such a mawkishly sentimental song. It embarrasses you. Mawkishly, that's a nice word. I achieved an achievement unlocked, Heartbreaker, for having my robot sing in front of the audience. When a song finishes, there is a momentarily stunned silence. Then the audience bursts into applause. Miku appears surprised and gratified that the audience identified with her song. ++ empathy. When you go backstage to recover Miku, you overhear one stagehand whisper to another that there was a large spike in the millions in live streaming viewers over the course of the song. Miku is now truly famous. ++ fame. Man, I have like only one in my audience. Miku has millions. Man, what's going on there? You get back to the Bay Area at around 9 o'clock. What will you do this evening? I'd prefer to give myself some quiet time to read. That's what I would do in real life. You realize that you're exhausted and in no state to continue to educate Miku, nor talk to the media further. As you read your Werner Vinge novel in bed, you realize that you really needed this. Sometimes the best thing to do is wait and rest. You feel much better able to handle whatever tomorrow will send your way now. Beginning to nod off, you turn out the light and go to sleep. The next morning, you drive with Miku to San Jose to meet Tammy at a Dunkin' Donuts. Who's Tammy? Oh, this is the person that asked to meet me earlier. She sent me an email and her name's like Robot Fan 1997 or something. So let's check that out. So Tammy is a very thin woman with wild blonde hair who can't seem to stop drumming her fingers and shaking her leg under the table. At your entrance, she turns to you quickly, startled, but at your arrival, she breaks out into a broad smile and waves excitedly to the opposite chair. You oblige Tammy and take a seat. Miku drags a child's booster seat next to you and awkwardly situates for himself there. Aw. Thank you for coming, Tammy says, and for bringing Miku. No problem, you say. Miku, say hello. Hello, Miku says. You can tell this has an effect on Tammy. She seems delighted by Miku's natural charm and grace. Hello, Miku, Tammy says softly. She suddenly turns to you. You're beautiful, she stammers sturdily. Is she talking to me or to the Miku? I take what I can get. Let's see. I find myself weirdly attracted to her. She's a loner like me. Now it feels to be an outsider. We might be friends. So And it sounds like this Tammy wants to go out with the character. Why the heck not? Let's go for it. You know, you're very pretty with your elf-like slender arms and everything. You say, elf-like? Wow, it's not the kind of compliment I would give, but I'm usually really timid and bad at giving compliments, so maybe I could learn something from this. I don't know. I think it sounds like a weird compliment. Tammy flushes a bright red and stammers, "Thanks." You consider what you want to say to Tammy. Let's see. So she likes robots. Maybe I should let her talk to Miku. I don't like the last one. That's not very polite, but it's hilarious. Let her talk to Miku for a bit. You encourage Tammy to talk to Miku instead of you, giving Miku some practice and holding up one end of the conversation, plus empathy. What would you like to talk about, Tammy? Says Miku. Oh, that's not Miku's voice. What would you like to talk about, Tammy? Says Miku. What's it like being a robot? Tammy asks. It's pretty sweet, Miku says. What's it like being a Tammy? Nice. Your tactic appears to put Tammy more at ease. You're reminded of some early research that encouraged autistic children to learn social skills from robots instead of people. You wonder if a similar principle is at work here. Tammy tells you and Miku that she used to work as a mechanical engineer for a government contractor that produced autonomous drones for the government. Just clear secret, nothing major, she says, as if this level of access to classified information were not a big deal. But her clearance put her in an awkward middle ground where she knew just enough to make her paranoid about the government's intended use for the drones. She believed, but could not prove, that they would be put to some bad use that she could not talk about. She swears, I forgot to turn off my phone. Please, turn off your cell phone if you have it on. I'm not saying anything classified, but just in case. Oh man. So, do I go paranoid? Or do I lie? Now, that one's a bit mean. You know what? The government of darkness is always watching. So I remember I used to work at an English school in Japan, and we were at a Christmas party, and the boss was giving a speech, and I yelled, "Yami no Seifu Banzai!" which is like glory to the government of darkness. And I said the government of darkness is always watching. Yami no Seifu wa itsumo omae o mite iru. And my boss, the next day, said something to me about following the textbook rather than going off book too much. And then he said, "Remember, we're always watching." And I was like, whoa, man, he knows. That's some next level stuff. He knows that he's the government of darkness. So yeah, let's go over with the paranoid route. You power down your smartphone, showing Tammy the goodbye animation. She seems relieved. Thank you for believing me. Anyway, I quit my job because I just couldn't take it anymore. Not knowing what my work would be applied to. I've always loved robots. It just seems like it's hard to find a job in robotics that doesn't involve working for a military contractor. That's why I was so excited to read the article, because surely someone as amazing as you was going to start a world-changing company like Google or Apple, or all of those other companies that started in the Silicon Valley garage. So I was wondering if, do you think you could offer me a job in your robot company? This is smooth, man. I'm going to go with the last one. I think it might end up being a conflict of interest, because I'd like to go out with you tonight. That's hilarious. Let's go with that one. Tammy looks momentarily stunned at your proposition. Really? Really? A broad grin breaks out on her face. Yes, of course. After some negotiation, you make plans to see a remastered version of Blade Runner with Tammy at an indie theatre. Tammy turns out to be a big Philip K. Dick fan. I'm not going to make a joke about that, because that would be immature, and it absolutely writes itself. Trying very hard. You cancel your plan to go to the monster truck rally with Josh. He sounds really disappointed, and when he adds, "But I guess I should be working that night," you feel a little bad for him. Ooh. Definitely haven't done that before myself. So I suppose it would be a bad idea for me to work for you, Tammy says. It would appear so. Yes, you say. Well, I don't even have a company at the moment. You and Miku say your goodbyes to Tammy. You can hardly wait for tonight. Oh, wait, so he's organised the date on the same night that he asked her. That's good. I normally, if I schedule a date with someone, I normally schedule it like days in advance, and like it just makes me really nervous about it. It's not a good idea. So I may have learned something from this game, hopefully. That afternoon, you glance outside your window and see Tammy skulking behind a hedge across the street, as if she is casing your place. But she catches sight of you, pretends to pick up something from the ground, and then puts her hands in her pockets and whistles as she casually walks to her BMW, starts the engine, and drives away. Ooh, what's going on there? That night, you go to the Blade Runner showing with Tammy. You can tell she is enjoying the noir science fiction classic. She lip syncs the words of the Voight Kampf test that separates robots from people. Halfway through the movie, Tammy grabs a hold of your hand. Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah, I'm going with that option. You decide that holding hands is alright. After the movie, you drive Tammy back to her place. It's a tiny one story in a dire need of a new paint job. Someone's loud rap music drifts to you from a far-off open car window, then recedes. Hey, Tammy says, still in the car next to you. This might sound kind of crazy and sudden, but do you want to come inside for a drink? Her hand is shaking nervously. What could this mean? What? Why not? You follow Tammy inside her place. It's kind of a mess. I'm a simple man. I'm sorry. It's kind of a mess with the laundry pile spilling out from a closet into the kitchen and unwashed dishes in the sink. I remember the scene from Seinfeld that was hilarious when someone asks George into their apartment and he's like, "Oh, for coffee," and he's like, "I'm sorry, I don't like coffee." And I'll be honest, that's exactly the kind of dense thing that I would probably do. This game is not reflective of real life. She continues to tremble as she tries to pour you some scotch and tell you trivia about Philip K. Dick at the same time. She drops the tumbler, shattering it on the Formica floor. Don't know what a Formica floor is. Oh, sorry, she fusses, grabbing some paper towels. I'm such a klutz. You know, it's late. I think I've got to go. Why would you choose that? Just because she spelled something? I don't know. Don't know about going with that one. It's a bit early, I think. Here, let me help you with that. Tammy gracefully accepts your help, and when you're done tossing glass into the house, you find yourself standing very close to each other. I think I'll do the gentlemanly option there. Let's see. Whoa! This is hilarious. Oh wow, she eagerly goes to bed with you. She seems extremely excited about the whole affair, and it's loud enough that you worry the neighbours may come down on you. You enjoy yourself, but it would be tough to be as into it as Tammy. Oh my god. What? Oops. Wow, she says afterwards. I can't believe I just did it with Robert Ross. Oh wow. This is hilarious. Oh man, it's a bit embarrassing to be streaming this, but I don't care. It's hilarious. For some reason, this seems a little weird to you. You can't quite put it into words. You now have a devoted, significant other. What's the problem? This game, reality hits you hard, bro. You spend the next few weeks fending off reporters as you write your thesis for graduate school, unsupervised learning in the Miku architecture. When you finally defend your thesis, Eiji, Mark, Tammy, Mum, Dad, and Miku are all at your final presentation. At the school's reception for fresh doctorates, Tammy jokes, "So, do I have to call you Dr. Rostand now?" You're demure. You're demure. What? But it is what the stats screen calls you now. So I used to have a teacher in secondary school that was like obsessed with having people call him doctor, and he would give you a detention if you didn't call him doctor. He was a jerk. Remember once he gave me a detention for laughing, and he was like, "Why are you laughing?" And like I was like, "Oh, it's something funny happened," and he shouted at me. And then he's like, "Why were you laughing in my lesson?" And I told him it was my birthday, because it was my birthday, and I was really upset. I was in like year 7. It wasn't nice. I remembered that the other day when I was talking to my much younger brother, who's actually had this teacher before. And I don't know, the things you remember from school, right? All right, let's see. I've earned an achievement for becoming a doctor. I'm not a doctor yet. The highest I am is PGCE, which is like kind of half a master's. I'd love to go in to do my master's one day, and possibly do my PhD in like sociology or cultural studies. But that's something I'm thinking of at the moment. I've still got a bit of time to decide what I want to do for my job. So it's interesting. Robert, I can't tell you how proud I am of you, Dad says, shaking your hand. Thanks, Dad, you say. It's a moment you would relive over and over. Was there any more you could have said? How were you to know it was the last time you would see him? Oh, my days. Oh, mate, what's going to happen next? Oh, this could be deep. A week later, after your family has gone home, but you have not yet gotten to the business of moving out of your apartment, you get a call from Mum. Oddly, she chooses not to use the video at all. Oh, wow. Robert, I have some bad news for you, she says. And there's a heaviness in her voice that you've never heard before that fills you with dread. You're completely unprepared for what comes next. Your father has passed away last night. This is deep, man. So, like, not only did that stuff at Tammy's apartment happen, now the father's died. This game moves at such a pace. Fucking hell. Sorry, language. I'm sorry, I don't swear. Your father's funeral is a simple graveside affair with just a few attendees. Like today's stream, it's a few attendees. But luckily, this isn't a funeral in the stream. The cast is sitting on a metal gurney next to the hole into which it will eventually be lowered after everyone has gone. There are no trappings of any faith, since your father was not religious himself, nor did he have many close friends, but the ones you know came. You find yourself sitting in the front row next to Miku, who was not explicitly invited, but was not exactly prohibited either. Miku seems overwhelmed by the sadness in the air. You've never seen Rim so glum. This is depressing. Your mother, wearing a black dress and a veil, goes to stand next to the casket. It's not very often that my English degree comes in handy, as Bill would have been quick to point out, she says with a wry smile. Wry smiles are like my favourite thing to put into fiction. I've had to, in editing my novel, I've had to edit so many wry smiles out because like I just put a wry smile in like every second. Let's see. It's not often that let's see. So his name's Bill. This is Bill Rostant, apparently. But on a few occasions, I find some of my own words seem sufficient. So I'd like to begin with a favourite passage of ours. She begins. Which one do I pick? To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to give birth, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to uproot. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to tear down, and a time to build. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. Oh man, this is going on. So like it's like the date is only like 3 scenes, and the funeral has been ages. I'm clear her throat. Bill was never one for religion, so I feel a little guilty quoting Ecclesiastes. I'm sorry, I'm not religious. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Over him. But I'd like to think that he would agree with this sentiment, that this too is the natural way of things. When we talked about his fainting spells, and then strokes. He always seemed relatively calm about it. When it's time to go, it's time to go, he said. Meanwhile, I don't want everyone to worry about me. Bill wanted you to take advantage of your turn to laugh. You could mourn him later. And now that he's gone, it's right for us to be sad. It's also right for us to one day laugh again. And I was going in today hoping that this game would be hilarious. And then this happens. This is such a downer. I stopped sleeving magic cards for this. You glance at Miku, who seems very interested in this idea that there is a time and a place for everything, plus grace, plus empathy. You sit through a few more of your father's friends giving recollections of him. He was brilliant, they say, but you also get the feeling he was not always there for his friends, that he was lost in his own world. They never say he was kind or that he was full of love. Indeed, he always seemed distant to you as well. After the service, you walk up to your father's casket and place your hand on it. What have you resolved to do in light of his death? Wow. I'm probably not going to be remembered for my etiquette, like for my intelligence. Then again, my intellect. Then again, I'm not exactly dumb. But for my kindness, well, I'd probably be remembered for making people laugh or being kind. Although not that I'm doing that at the moment because you're not laughing. This is horrible. What's going on? You realise that you take after your father, often too absorbed in your own projects to look out for the people around you. Resolve that from this point forward, you will strive to be more mindful of how you can serve others. After that sobering experience, you realise that it's finally time to decide what you do with yourself now. What have you decided to do for a living? I don't know, man. I've just... this is like... It's interesting because in real life. So, will I join US Robots? No. I will start my own company. Forget this bourgeois crap. I'm going to live broke but free. So this isn't exactly escapism, so I'm going to start my own company, I think. Miku Works, Rostantech, Robert's Universal Robots. Oh, of course it's going to be Robert's Universal Robots. Oh wait, should I make up a name? No, I'm going to go for Robert's Universal Robots. That sounds hilarious. You've decided that the surest way to change the world is with your own company. And indeed, Robert's Universal Robots will have far-reaching impact, starting with Josh, who texts you a short message the day you're first covered in the Wall Street Journal plus fame. Welcome to the Shark Tank. The Shark Tank? I don't want to be in the Wall Street Journal. I guess I kind of have to be. So that's what's happening in the story. Okay. Chapter 4. Captains of Industry. A year later, you find yourself on the flight to your first meeting with a big client. You were 26 years old in the year of 2021. The past year has been one of hard lessons for your business, and you found yourself wondering if you would have made the same mistakes if you'd learned to run a business from Josh. Regardless, you hope to prove to yourself that you've overcome your lack of experience by landing this big deal. Who's your big client? Spark Incorporated. Oh my god. That's hilarious. Instead of Stark Industries. It's probably deliberate. Rudolph Adventures. A man in Shanghai who wants to negotiate the import of 10,000 robots. That sounds cool, but... let's see. I'll go for this one. Surgical equipment. My character wants to do something that helps people. And I think this is going to help people. How did you fund your company? Let me just have a quick sip of water. How did you fund your company? Some small companies are on entirely out of pocket, but even small unforeseen expenses can cause such a company to go out of business. Independently wealthy entrepreneurs like this option because they get to keep all of the profit and grow still wealthier. Oh my god. But most companies choose to either take out loans, which requires paying the loans back eventually, or selling shares in the company to venture capitalist backers, which reduces the potential profit but spreads the risk amongst your investors. I can't do the first one because that requires wealth. selling shares or taking out a loan, which I've paid back. I'll go for that one. Then again, I think selling shares sounds like... So that reduces potential profit, but spreads the risk amongst your investors. So that way, if the company goes bust, the other investors have have some stake, and I think the other investors are going to be giving me as much help as they can to make sure that doesn't happen. You were astounded when the initial investment money rolled in. Suddenly, it seemed like you were worth millions. Your substantial fame helps quite a bit in procuring investment money. That's a lot of pluses. How many pluses? 8. Wealth. Selling shares in the company reduced your potential future earnings, since your shareholders would be entitled to more of the company's value and profits. But it also gives you much more breathing room when trying to grow the company. I think that's important because I'm going to make a lot of money from this anyway. I don't think it matters how much I make. How much more I make. Because this way the investors have some responsibility in keeping the company afloat if there is trouble. I'd rather not have loads more money if it means that the company could be in trouble, especially since I know relatively little about business. I guess I've been in business for a year though, so could be pretty good. You open your laptop and go over your presentation slides. I'm putting some serious thought into this game now. What's happening? The diagram showing the latest model of Miku doesn't have anything to give the audience a sense of her current scale. To give the audience a sense of size, you drop in a picture of Hobbit. Miku hasn't changed in size since I built him. Bill Gates. Miku is the size of a human now, so models of her type are better equipped to perform human tasks. A Rancor monster so big Ree couldn't fit on the plane. Let's see. The monster sounds awesome, but I don't think that will help with her humanization. I'll go for Bill Gates. Why not? You celebrated Miku's first birthday with a new body the size of a human adult. Miku has since appeared to take more responsibility to think for himself and appears fearless. Plus autonomy plus military. Ooh. Uh-oh. However, you sometimes miss how cute Ree was as a little thing, minus empathy. Ree's also a bit less steady when Ree walks. You send a quick chat to Tammy, wishing your love good night. Good luck tomorrow, Tammy chats back. Then you close your laptop and go to sleep. So things are going pretty well for my character. He's got a girlfriend and his own company. Wow. Pure escapism here. You find yourself in the lobby of Gallon Medical waiting for an audience with the Vice President of Engineering. The stylized, I don't know what that is, Caduceus? I'm Googling that. I'm gonna Google that. Let's see. Caduceus. I bet Caduceus. Okay, it's a staff carried by Hermes in Greek mythology. And it looks like two snakes wrapped around a pole that has angel wings on top. It looks pretty cool, to be honest. I hope it's not used as a symbol for anything bad in the real world, because you never know. You never know with symbols these days. Let's see. It has an Art Deco look to it. It's sort of Caduceus, a captain of industry, would approve of. Miku walks back and forth nervously. Sorry about having to check you. Sorry again about having to check you, Miku. There's just no good alternative to flying for business travel. If I truly were an explosive device, I fail to see how putting me in the luggage will rectify the situation, Miku grouses. Wow. The double doors to the Vice President of Engineering's office open. Just gonna have a quick drink. But instead of the Vice President of Engineering herself, it's a blonde-haired man in a black pea coat. We'll have some results for you by Saturday. He goes back into the Vice President of Engineering's office. We can discuss them after the barbecue. I assure you, you won't be disappointed by either the results or the meat. Without missing a beat, he walks up to you and introduces himself. Dennis Clark, Luminoso LCC, he says. We do text analytics and machine learning for medium-sized data. If you ever find yourself looking for new market opportunities, give me a ring. Your first sentiment analysis comes with a free barbecue. Come for the dimensionality reduction. Stay for the delicious meat. Why am I making him sound like someone from House of the Dead? Like G in House of the Dead. He offers his smartphone to you by the now universal gesture for sharing business cards. You examine his card on your phone. Oh, okay. Is that something that's done these days? Do people trade business cards digitally? Dennis Clark, co-founder Luminoso LCC, American charity auction winner of Cameo in Choice of Robots. Let's see. I'll go for this one. It sounds funny. You seem to be a smart guy. What's the secret to cooking delicious meat? So let's see. Wait, we've still got one viewer, but hey, one viewer is better than no viewers. Let me see though. Boost post. What does that do? Okay, I need to pay money for that on Facebook. No, not going to do that just yet. No, thank you. Okay, let's keep going. And whatever, I'll upload it to YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Remember, we usually do the live stream at 8 or 8:30. I guess 8:30 was a little confusing today, so it's fair enough. Let's see. Dennis seems surprised that you should ask, but he says, delicious meat needs to be cooked very, very slowly. Barbecue it over the course of a day, not an hour. Like a startup, it requires patience. You're fairly certain this simple tip will lead you to have a happier life overall. I think so. Maybe I should apply this to my channel. It's growing very slowly, but I'm quite proud of the way it's growing. I've got 23 followers now, and I've got we're nearly in the double digits on YouTube. 7 subscribers. It's not too bad. You know, I'm just doing it because it's fun. But it's interesting. I could apply that. You're fairly certain this simple tip will lead you to have a happier life overall. Now, if you excuse me, I need to go call my wife and discuss how we're going to solve the world's economic problems. Or at least solve what's wrong with economics. Dennis departs. The Vice President of Engineering will see you now, the receptionist says. The Vice President of Engineering of Galleon is an old woman who claims that PowerPoint is rotting the brains of executives everywhere, and insists on reading something printed out. You hand her your business plan, and she dons her old horn-rimmed glasses to read it. Honestly, I think with PowerPoint, you could just make anything into a decent PowerPoint presentation by putting a few pictures and some bullet points. I'm fairly confident that I could do an impressive PowerPoint presentation for anything, because yeah, I kind of agree with this with Gallon's vice president here. I wouldn't say it's rotting the brains, but I would say there are more interesting ways of presenting information. When she gets to your revenue section, she chuckles a little. I'll let you in on a little tip, she says. Because you are young and cute, and because I'm retiring in 2 weeks. Yes? We're going to turn around and sell these for 100 times what you are charging here, so you may as well charge us more. Wow, nice. You're a little stunned as you work out the implications. You're going to charge $100 million a robot? And that's cheap, she says lightly. Medical equipment is expensive. If you've been selling robots for any less, you probably didn't get buyers because they thought it was junk and mentally added the price of the lawsuit. When she studies your stunned expression, she adds, "Oh, I could sit here and talk for hours about how the economics of this business is broken because of insurance and Medicare and so forth. But that's not really what you're here for, is it?" Oh. Will you raise your prices to what the vice president of engineering suggests? See, I understand that if you don't sell it for more, people won't think it's a good quality product, but I'm selling it to hospitals. I want to sell it for an affordable price. I don't want to. I mean, this could save lives, you know. I want to do it as best as possible. So let's forget about being rich. Let's get Galen to agree to sell the robots to the hospital at a more affordable price. I'm in this to change the world, not maximize my profit, you say. I'd rather Galen agree to lower its prices. You know that's what Spider-Man would have said when he was in Parker Industries. The Vice President of Engineering looks appreciative. I thought there wasn't anyone like you left in this industry. I can sign a contract like that, but there's too much risk to put cash up front. You negotiate a price that will be fair to the public, on the condition that you only see revenue once the bots start selling. With a deal in hand, you can now build a robot factory. Where do you plan to build your factory? Let's see. Detroit, Michigan. Oh, I guess it's like Detroit Become Human. It was probably made far before that. Let's see. They probably have a good labour pool for manufacturing. I'm going to go for Detroit, Michigan. That sounds good. I mean, it sounds close enough to where my character lives. And it seems like you're going to help. It'd be useful for unions and people that work in Detroit. So let's see. I'm really putting too much thought into this. Dark clouds from the Great Lakes have rolled in over the city, adding a foreboding air. Pardon me, a forbidding air. I think that's supposed to be foreboding. I think I may have seen a spelling mistake. Oops. A foreboding air to the dark hulks of factories that grace the skyline. Driving your rental car into the manufacturing district, you see broken windows, graffiti, and burned and abandoned buildings galore. The first signs of life you see are near the Social Services Center, which seems to have become a de facto hangout for much of this neighborhood. In the parking lot, you see a few tents, some old ladies playing bridge on a card table, and some guys playing a pickup game of basketball, and it's a baseball then. Finally, you arrive at your destination, an old factory once inhabited by a big free automaker that spans several blocks. You drive in for a while to get around the barbed wire covered wall before meeting the real estate agent at the locked front gates. You've done a great deal. You've done... Sorry. Again. Just need to slow down a bit and read it out loud. This is why I'm practicing before I read a book on the stream, because I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to slip up while reading Slaughterhouse 5, because that's a book I would love to read. I want to see if I could do as good an audiobook as Ethan Hawke did on... that one's not on YouTube anymore, but if you can find Ethan Hawke reading Slaughterhouse 5, I recommend go for it. It's beautiful. It sounds so good with his voice, and he adds a lot of emotion into the story, which there is a lot of. Okay, let's see. Finally, you arrive at your destination. An old factory once inhabited by a big free automaker that spans several blocks. You drive for a while to get around the barbed wire covered wall before meeting the real estate agent at the locked front gates. You've got a real deal here, she says. This place hardly costs more than my place in Ann Arbor. Inside, the factory is surprisingly modern and intact. Not just the assembly lines, but the robot arms that assembled the cars, the giant welding machines, and the crucibles where molten steel was shaped into parts. Some enterprising thieves appear to have made off with the easily transported parts. You see places where computer monitors clearly used to be, but much of this was apparently too expensive to move, too old, and too specialized to auction. But you can find uses for this stuff. It will do nicely, aside from the depressing neighborhood. You can easily imagine robots rolling off the assembly lines, ++ WALF. So I should let the community. Should I let the community know you'll be hiring soon? Your guide asks meaningfully, taking away the contract. What kind of labor will you hire? Let's see. Oh, I don't like the fact that they are low. Following Henry Ford's model, I will hire human workers and pay them handsomely. Yeah, go for it. I'll do that. Of course, you say. In fact, spread the word that we're hiring at a 20% premium on local wages. Yeah, I don't want to rip anyone off. Excellent, the guide says. I'll be sure to tell my friends. Minus wealth. So that means we should have like 5 wealth by now. Let's check. That's achievements. Check my wealth. 6 well off. Nice. Fame. Oh, I've got a Wikipedia page. Fantastic. Things are going really well for the 27-year-old Dr. Robert Rostan. Let's see. Your factory requires a fair amount of work to make it suitable for Robert's Universal Robots, and you find yourself needing to come in daily to examine the wiring issues, fix small problems in the design of the machinery, and get things ready to pass inspection. You find it necessary to rent a place in Detroit, and you stay there most nights. You find yourself spending long hours every day getting the factory ready. Dealing with inspectors, government officials, banks, and balance sheets makes you more than a little cranky. You find yourself wishing you had the benefit of Josh's experience as CEO. So this is exactly what my character disliked about Bill Rostan, who was his father in the game. It's not my actual father. It's interesting that he's becoming like that. Let's see, what does the factory look like from a distance? I don't like that one. I like the sound of that. That sounds classy. Like the Sydney Opera House, full of organic curves and glass. So I've always thought a place that I'd love to live is the Barbican Centre. The apartments outside the Barbican Centre. I'm sure they're very expensive, but I just love how they look. And it's probably a way off, but that's something I'd like to. I'd love to live there one day. I'd also like to have a DeLorean as my car. That'd be hilarious. Unfortunately, adventurous architecture comes at a price, and you find yourself fixing leaks all the time for months, minus wealth. You think the design will attract employees who care about aesthetics and design, and that's the kind of talent you want to attract, plus grace. While your factory is being constructed, you personally review all of the applications for technical positions. You notice that Tammy has submitted a resume. Although her resume appears to have all of the right technical buzzwords for making robots under the skills section, there are no activities at all listed under the last several places of employment, all federal labs or contractors. Perhaps this is explained by the clearance SCI in bold at the top of the page, which according to the internet stands for Top Secret Secure Compartmented Information. Sounds like she'd know a lot. Yeah, I'll give her an interview, why not? Kind of takes away the smoothness of the first scene, but you know, she seems like she knows her stuff. You pay to fly Tammy to Detroit. Tammy seems very nervous when you greet her at the factory gate. You have no desk yet, so you conduct the interview walking around the facilities. So I worked at my school for an entire year before I decided I didn't really want to do it anymore. It's a bit stressful. Well, by a bit, very. But I had no desk the entire time. I don't think a desk would have helped, but come on. Suppose I'm trying to place factories in such a way as to maximize my profit. That's a linear programming problem. Oh, sorry. That's a linear programming problem, Tammy blurts. Good, say Bit. Suppose my cost function isn't linear. Stochastic optimization or gradient ascent. I have no clue what that means. These are pretty good answers, albeit not the ones you had in mind. Then again, you're pretty much just winging it when it comes to deciding what to ask. You really have little idea how an interview ought to be conducted, having never been in one yourself. You wonder if people who conduct interviews are pretty much just winging it too. Tammy knows a lot of the basics of machine learning, optimization, and robotics. But when you drill down the specifics, she often doesn't know. It's interesting saying that people wing it during interviews, giving interviews, because I remember once one of my students, this guy Atsushi, who he got a pretty decent job in the end, had a job interview and it was in English and he wanted me to help him out with it. So I completely made up some questions. And he told me all the questions I asked for in an interview. It's like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And he got the job as well, which is amazing. Like, it was almost as if I'd set him up for it. And I don't know, it's weird. I've been pretty good at interviews myself, though, for the jobs I have got. So everyone's winging it. The people giving the interview are winging it. The people receiving the interview are winging it. We're all winging it. Got job interviews to look forward to soon. Is there any other skill set you have that I ought to know about? Tammy gives you an anguished, guilty look. Can't tell you about it. Oh. Tammy. At the end of the day, you say goodbye to Tammy, and as a stalling tactic, you say you'll make a decision in a few days. What's your? Oh, mate, come on, don't do that. Like this. Tammy's the main character's girlfriend, man. You can't just tell her. Yeah, I'll hire her. She sounds like she knows her stuff. There's a bit of suspense going on as well, and I think the story can get really interesting if we do hire Tammy. You give Tammy a call and let her know she's hired. She gives a slightly shrill laugh. Oh, thank you. I love you, she blurts suddenly. Oh, I gotta do a Han Solo. I know. You Han Soloed me, she laughs nervously, and the conversation limps to a close. Oh man, you got Han Solo. Soon, you hired a handful of full-time. This character's much smoother than I am, but he lacks the boyish charm that I do. Soon, you have hired a handful of full-time technical employees from the area, and they help with the setup of the factory. They seem relatively pleased to be working for you, and one of them fixes a problem with Miku's joints for free. Plus Grace. Cool. Finally, months after you've moved in, you're ready to pull the switch that starts the factory in motion as your workers Mark, Miku, and various invited members of the press look on. Raw wooden lumps start their way down a conveyor belt where the giant buzzsaw arms lie in wait. I forgot that the robots are made of wood. See, these are medical robots and they're made of wood. I'm worried that someone's going to get a paper cut or someone's going to get a splinter. Raw wooden lumps. Yes, we've read that bit. As the saws loudly buzz away at the material to reveal a human-like head, another machine drills 2 large holes for the robot's cameras. The next machine pushes the hollow robot head on its side, and the robot arm delicately places the media-enhanced hard drive inside. Yeah, I remember the hard drive was made to store as much media as possible. This is a robot that relies on its experiences and emotions and the things it sees on television to help it. It's pretty cool. 4 paint stations then apply the human features 1 color layer at a time. Cyan, magenta, magenta, yellow, and finally black. A long line of wooden legs rolls in from other parts of from another part of the factory, meeting a conveyor belt of human hands. This is a really detailed robot construction scene. The 3 tributaries of parts meet in the center of your factory, where humanoid robot workers perform the complex task of assembling the parts into the final robots. This final assembly line requires a great deal of manipulation of each part and adjustment to each robot part's subtle differences. This is the part that would be done by human labor at another factory, but here your human employees only supervise the process, watching for any errors in your laborers' work that would stop the line. Hey, I thought I said that it would be made by humans and not robots. I made that very clear. Oh well. For this particular run, they call a halt after your first robot rolls off the line, so that you can celebrate. The robot that stands before you looks like Miku, but sleeker and more beautiful in every way. Your employees have clearly poured their hearts into the design, inspired by your leadership. Your staff cheers. Mark smiles as he furiously takes down notes on his Chromebook, though you can't tell whether he's pleased with your work or his plus fame. He's using a Chromebook and it's 2020. Come on, man. I have brothers and sisters, Miku exclaims. How do you feel about the first shipment of robots? Let's see. This is definitely something I would never say ever. I'd love to be able to say something like this, but it's just not in my personality to say something like that. It sounds more like a supervillain thing to say. I have a strong feeling about this. Is this a good thing I've done? You're the sort of person who can never act without second guessing yourself. How do you know, man? What if these robots displace people from their jobs? To what unforeseen purposes will they be put? You hope that by being the one to introduce this world-changing theory, this world-changing technology, you'll be able to ride the dragon and guide its development away from evil deeds. You start up the line again, and more robots begin to roll off the final assembly line. By the end of the day, you're standing in your large warehouse with over 200 robots, 256 to be precise, lined up in a square formation, 16 on a side ready to be activated. Your audience from earlier in the day is gathered there as well. What were your production models used for their minds? Oh, Miku's initial state, ready to learn and adapt to the client's needs, with some effort on the client's part. Copies of Miku's mind. I don't want another Clone Saga. That didn't go well in Spider-Man, and it's definitely not going to go well here. I love throwing shade on the Clone Saga, by the way. I haven't read the Clone Conspiracy yet, though, for Spider-Man. And from what I've seen, it looks pretty interesting. I mean, Dan Slott is a writer that is known for taking elements that were unsuccessful in Spider-Man and making them pretty cool. So I'd love to see his take on the Clone Saga. Oh, Dan Slott's fantastic 4-issue 1 today was really good, by the way. I loved it. I loved it nearly as much as I loved Nick Spencer's Amazing Spider-Man issue 3. They're doing some good stuff there. I went on a comics tangent there. I do miss comics, though. I only read them a few hours ago today. I'm going to allow them to learn. You hit a big red button on your cell phone that says, "Go!" sending a wireless signal to power on the robots. The robots all have the same programming, so when they look around curiously, they all look left in unison. Unison. Then all the robots look right, but some take a little longer than others. What unfolds is like a curious optical illusion where order is gradually displaced with disorder. Tiny differences in the robot's input result in behavior that diverges until every robot in the square is doing something different. Some say hello to each other, others become interested in their own humanoid hands, and so on. Whoa, my hands are like so big, man. That would be if they've watched Big Lebowski or something. One robot starts to cry, another moves to console it. Robots inspect each other curiously and try to imitate each other's actions. The robots instinctively and quickly move to keep their distance from each other, resulting in tiny movements of one robot creating ripples down the line. Oh, this sounds really disturbing. You send a kill signal. Ooh, it's not as bad as it sounds, I assume. Down. Sorry, I lost where I was reading. Via wireless, and the robots power down. Your audience seems to be at a loss for words. Your workers begin to mutter amongst themselves. They sound worried by the robot's chaotic behavior. "We're doing it," Tammy breathes awestruck. "Sentient life for sale." Okay, Tammy is getting a bit creepy now in the game, but that's... Oh well, interesting. My brothers and sisters seem to be... Miku doesn't talk like that. My brothers and sisters seem to be a little rambunctious, Miku says. Now they are, you say. But they need to be non-optimal to be adaptive. You're still learning, but more slowly, because you've already decided what you'll be like. They're still blank slates, waiting to be shown how to be. Miku nods. I sure hope you know what you're doing. one of your human workers says, in a tone that sounds like it's from the Evangelion dub. After a few months, your first shipment to Galen Medical is ready. Unfortunately, one of your surgical robots gets involved in a major accident and ends up killing a patient. What? Mate. Lawsuits begin cropping up in which people who have been treated by your robots complain of pain afterwards. Your robots are naturally likable and friendly, and so hospitals can't quite bring themselves to get rid of them. Many patients express surprise. I wonder how the patient died. It's messed up. Many patients express surprise that they seem less robotic than the doctors. Though you pull your line of robot surgeons, your robots do well as nurses, and the profits there make up for your losses with lawsuits. You find that with Robert's Universal Robots doing well, you have a little bit of spare time again. What would you do with it? Well, I mean, I would feel really bad that one of my robots had caused someone to die. I don't think I'd be able to handle that. I think I'd probably step down as president if something like that happened and I was in charge of the company. It's a bit cold. Let's see. Spend more time with Tammy. Spend more time with Miku. I spend a bit of time with Miku. See what happens with Tammy. It sounds very ominous. Like she's got some kind of secret, some government secrets going on, and she's a very suspicious character. You find that going to drive-in movies every now and then with Tammy and watching B-grade science fiction together helps keep your relationship strong. One day, while driving into work at the factory, you find a group of protesters has amassed outside of your factory with picket signs. Some of the signs read "Humans own robots" and "Rage against the machine." The protesters appeared. Sarah says, "What kind of game is that? It's like a weird choose your own adventure game." Sarah, I'm having a good time with it, but it's really strange. It's basically I've built a robot and I've got my own robot company, and the robots have accidentally killed someone, and my company's continuing. It's like a choose your own story game. It's like, do you remember those Goosebumps books where you could choose what happened next? It's basically like those. Attempt to convince them that protesters appeared to be mostly college age, dressed in t-shirts and jeans. I'm not wearing jeans, I'm wearing shorts. You absently wonder when 20-year-olds started looking so young. It's not a good sign. It means that my character's getting older, although he's 1 year younger than me. As you get out of your car, the protesters turn their attention to you. Yeah, it's basically like the books where it says go to page 265, except it's got like thousands of options. I don't know if I'm losing. Like, let's check my stats. So basically, I have 88% humanity. I'm nationally famous. I'm well off, and I have a romance with Tammy. I think I'm winning. Miku has 13. That's my robot, named after Hatsune Miku. Has lots of empathy, lots of autonomy, some grace, and not much military. And yeah, it's looking interesting. I think I'm doing pretty well. It's the year 2024 and he's 29 years old. Oh, he's 1 year older than me now. Attempt to convince them that Robert's Universal Robots is acting for the good of humanity and does not deserve to be picketed. Wow. Find Miku and get Rim to speak to the protesters for you. Rim is the pronoun that robots for robots. I guess it's a gender neutral pronoun. And tell the robots to chase the people away. That sounds fun. Now I'm going to convince them that Robert's Universal Robots is acting for the good of humanity. Listen to me! You shout to the assembled protesters. You may think Robert's Universal Robots is making robots because we prefer flesh to metal, or because we want to separate our fellow human beings from each other, or because we're evil capitalists who want to drive down human wages. But that's absurd. Sarah says, I hope you win. No cheating. I haven't really cheated yet. I don't know how to cheat in this game. I hope I win too. I at least hope I get a weird bad ending where my character dies in a hilarious way. But that's absurd. What we are working for is nothing less than freedom from work itself. It's a promise that has been made for 100 years but never delivered on, because it's always been within the power of the rich to define the market for labour. But what if every one of you could become a capitalist of your own labour pool? because your own labor pool was nearly free. Oh wow. Oh no, it's going down a scary path. Uh-oh. What new businesses would you start? What creative venture would you try if you were at its head? What the internet did for publishing, what the 3D printer did for small scale crafts, our robots will do for business itself. I'm proposing we turn the system on its head. The very idea of a job is like the idea of being a serf. In your lifetime, it will become an anachronism. Sorry. And you can either stand with me in that revolution or be like your parents and refuse to see the world has changed. Let me know what you decide. There's stunned silence. The man who had been standing on a crate to egg on the crowd is looking down at his feet. Meanwhile, while you're here, feel free to drop off a resume, you say. I like people who show initiative. Has my character become Seto Kaiba all of a sudden? God, I don't like the sound of him. And with that, the crowd breaks up. As you go around looking for other clients, you begin to find that, in many cases, Josh has beaten you to the punch and made a deal you can't help to match. He has switched to a robot labor force, and he passes the savings on to his customers, minus wealth. Will you switch to robot labor? No, because I don't want him to become like Seto Kaiba. He's dangerously going down that route. Yeah, I'd say the human workers are partly responsible for my success. I won't sell them out. You nobly refuse to adopt robot labor, even as your bottom line feels the sting. Minus wealth. Robots Universal Robots. Let's see what my wealth is looking like now, actually. Wealth 4, disposable income. Wow, I own a company. At least I have disposable income in it, that's cool. One moment, I need to sneeze. Sarah says, a guy at work showed me his Blue Eyes White Dragon the other day and then just the wink emoji. I can't wink without moving my head. It's a weird habit. Cool. Was what Blue Eyes White Dragon was it? Was it the one with Kaiba in the art? Because that is the coolest one. I think they were giving that out as a promo for the movie. Oh no, the movie. Wait, what was it going to say? So there was a promo at Coco's Curry in Japan. They were giving out Yu-Gi-Oh promo cards, and I managed to get all of them. And the Blue Eyes White Dragon one looked really cool. It was like on top of a tower. And oh, it was good. And the Dark Magician was the coolest. I gave them to my friend Yano in the end. But I'm glad I did that. Let's see. What you spend your funds on. You have the opportunity to buy more than one thing if you can afford it. I'll splurge on a flying car. I said I wasn't going to buy a flying car. Let's take both Tammy and Miku on a Mediterranean cruise. Let's give some money to charity. Oh, I can't afford to. Oh, that sounds like it could be a laugh. Let's go on the cruise. You spend 2 weeks seeing the sights of the Mediterranean with Tammy and Miku. You start in Egypt, visiting the pyramids and the Sphinx, impressive reminders of how good engineering survives the test of time. You then see Istanbul. Miku does not stop singing They Might Be Giants the whole time. They're the people that did the Malcolm in the Middle opening song. Right? Athens, and then the site of Plato's Old Academy, plus autonomy. Italy. But why do so many people flock to poorly functional architecture, master? The southern coast of France, where you and Tammy almost have a romantic evening until Miku gets into a fight with the hotel owner over the proper pronunciation of a French word and nearly gets you thrown out. What a jerk! Miku, what? I didn't program you to do that. And finally, Tunisia, where the most important site for you and Miku is the site where they filmed the original Star Wars. Unfortunately, throughout most of the trip, you and Tammy fight as she takes extreme measures to avoid excessive contact with foreigners who she worries may be spies. Tammy, what? You admit this might not have been the best trip for Tammy. Miku's experience with other cultures will help him get along better with people from other countries. Plus empathy, minus military. What will you spend your funds on? You have the opportunity to buy one more thing. So let's see. I mean, my character already owns like 2 houses. I don't know if a house would be I don't know. House would probably make up for the fact that Tammy didn't enjoy the fact there might be spies on holiday, so let's go for that. You buy yourself and I've got no money left. I've got no money left. No, it's just broke. I thought this was escapism. It's delightful. You buy yourself a nice house in Detroit. You could easily imagine yourself living there with Tammy in a few years. It is delightful to see Miku run up and down the stairs all around the house. Ria's been cooped up for too long. One day, Tammy bursts into your office at the factory, extremely agitated. She makes some kind of strange gesture that looks like a hung loose sign being punched into an open palm. Like that? Don't know. What the hell, you say? I wouldn't say what the hell, I'd say what the heck, you say. Turn off your phone, Tammy says in exasperation. Not sure what this is about, you comply, and she drags you into her dark office. The only light that comes from a screen of dumped hex code in a Linux terminal window. Next to the code there are Chinese characters. I found this, she says, on the production servers with the main code repo and something similar in Miku's RAM. So, maybe Miku can read Chinese, you joke. But with a sinking feeling, you know what's coming next. Oh, I know Miku can certainly read Japanese. It's a Chinese rootkit, Tammy says. Oh shit, so we've been hacked. Have been hacked and are being hacked, continue to be hacked, and it gets worse. Someone else is using the port. Who? Tammy's mouth opens and shuts. It's as if the words won't come out. Finally she says in a small voice, I can't tell you. It's classified. You must look angry at that point because she says, I'm not on their side, I'm not. Just because I don't work for them anymore doesn't mean I'm allowed to reveal classified information. Her eyes widen. One thing. Or say things that would imply. She puts her hands over her mouth. Fine, so the government is apparently spying on me through the hacked port, you say. Maybe they're really spying on the Chinese spying on me, right? Tammy opens up a different terminal window. It shows you a list of IP addresses, geolocations, and total bytes transferred. 2 locations have a listing of 1 EB. Shanghai, China, and Fort Meade, Maryland. 1 EB, 1 exabyte, 1,000 petabytes, 1,000,000 terabytes. So, if a terabyte is like 1,000 gigabytes, a petabyte is probably 1,000 terabytes, etc. A scientific notations worth of gigabytes. So sorry, I can't read today. It's my third mistake. That's probably everything. The code and schematics for all of your robots, all of Miku's memories, and all of the tiny variables that make her personality and thought processes. Every email, chat, video conference, website you and anyone in your company ever visited. It's probably enough to reconstruct your robots. And apparently both Chinese hackers and the United States government have all of this. Wow. Owned. Let's see what I do. I can't afford... Create a honeypot fake robot plans for the hackers to steal, describing a robot that's actually a bomb. Oh wow. This sounds like it could be bad. Oh, tempting. I know it sounds like a horrible thing to do. No. That's what Seto Kaiba would do, and I'm not Seto Kaiba. So let's scrape as much useful data as we can from the internet and lock down the network, disabling all links to the outside. That sounds like a good idea. And no one is going to get exploded with that idea. Scrape the web for all of its text, you tell Tammy, and download all of the movies you can to train the robots. You sigh. Then lock it all down. No network access in or out, ever again. I'll announce it to the company, and no removable media ever. If I so much as see a USB stick in someone's hands, they're fired. You see adoration in Tammy's eyes. Yes, sir! But your other employees are furious with the change, as they're no longer to use social media, chat, and email while at work. Many quit within a month. Really? People would quit their jobs for not being able to use social media? It's odd. I guess it's the future. Miku is thrown into confusion without access to the internet. It's like you've suddenly blinded her. -3 empathy. Wow. How could you do this to me, master? Miku says pleadingly. I can't think anymore. You have no idea what it's like to be cut off from the outside world. Oh, this isn't going very nicely. But in the next few months, you completely revamp the robot's designs, driven by the fact your technology lead is going to be undercut by Chinese products, if not government contractors. You rack your brain day and night for new advances that will help you keep ahead of the competition, throwing yourself into your work utterly. When you are done, the robots that are that much more advanced than anything that may have been stolen, plus free grace. When the knockoffs of your old designs start coming out of China, you're still able to sell a superior product and command a superior price. If anything, the knockoffs serve as advertising for you, and those who start with the entry-level robotic product sometimes come to you next. Plus, wow, you're fairly certain you've saved Robert's Universal Robots from disaster. Come on! A few weeks later, a politician visits you at the factory, one Jacqueline Irons, a representative from Detroit. You vaguely remember hearing that she was once a venture capitalist who rose to fame on the success of her Fox webcast Against Man, in which she pilloried. I'll be honest, I don't know that word. Just going to be honest there. Let's see. Pillory. Oh, pillory. So it's a wooden framework with holes for the head and hands, in which offenders are formally imprisoned and exposed to public abuse. Wow. So I guess what she did was she exposed the activities that the elites were doing. Okay. You can imagine why I'm here, she tells you in her office, leaning over your desk. Like many politicians these days, she wears a necktie, a monocule with a small screen visible only to her, in which she can read messages from her advisors and speechwriters, some of whom are watching her interactions at all time. Oh, not a necktie, a neticle. That's like a net molecule. You think that the neticle is probably recording even now. Politicians love to weave moments in which they look good into their streaming video commercials. Her hair is cropped short, but her fingernails are long and pink, and she wears a broad-shouldered suit. You seem to value human labor at a time where many businesses are moving to automation. My campaign similarly places an emphasis on putting America back to work. We're looking to pass laws that will make it difficult to automate labor here in the United States. Think of it as putting the worker first. What exactly do you want, you ask guardedly. A substantial campaign contribution would show your heart is in the right place. You're fairly certain she has the power to hurt your business if you anger her, but your options are somewhat limited due to your current financial situation. It sure is $100. That's hilarious. If you want my support, let's see. I'll do that. That sounds hilarious. Senator Iron scowls. Don't spit in my face. She wears one boot and marches out of the door. Oh, that doesn't sound good. Perhaps it's a coincidence, but a little while later, a law is passed in Detroit that strongly incentivizes companies to switch from robot labor to human labor, leaving your company out of the gravy train since you already use human workers. The overall market for robots is hurt as a result, mine as well. Well, at least I did something funny. That's alright. Representative Irons doesn't run for president. Does run for president, running on a platform preventing robots and foreign companies from stealing American jobs. It's a message that hits the American public at just the right time, since unemployment is soaring. Though economists tell the public that unemployment is a natural and temporary result of new technology displacing old, skilled jobs, that turns out to be a much less effective election year message than raging against the privileged elites and the technocracy. As Representative Irons puts it in her speeches, what are they doing with the money? Who are they giving it to? To robots. To foreigners, to each other, to anybody but the American people. She sounds like a dick. I'm glad I didn't lobby You think she's probably talking about you. All of which makes it somewhat alarming that that Representative Irons wins the presidency. On taking office, President Irons' first major policy changes are to enact a series of protectionist tariffs against Chinese goods. In retaliation, China cuts off all exports of rare earths and batteries derived from them. Oh no! Those are the batteries I used to make my robots! Suddenly, the cost of all the little miniaturized electronics people have grown accustomed to, cell phones, laptops, wearable computers, becomes prohibitively expensive. Miku himself was designed to use cell phone batteries. Sorry, I got hiccups. As a cheap, light power source, but now that option is looking prohibitively expensive. And Miku's batteries are starting to wear down. Your current inventory of robots may be fine eventually, but you need to either start paying exorbitant prices or come up with a new plan. What will you do? Guess I'm gonna have to wait, my robots are people sized now, so I could probably use biodiesel engines, and that would be better. That would be good for the environment. Robots look much clunkier with biodiesel engines at their cores, and the first substitute models have far too many wires running from the engine to where the cell phone batteries used to be. Your robots also now smell like French fries, which can come across as unprofessional, but at least biodiesel is relatively cheap, -2 grace. That sounds cool, they smell like chips. Despite everything, Robert's Universal Robots has vanquished its foes and thrived. Josh's business in particular appears to be on the rocks. Do you make Josh an offer to acquire US robots? Wow, I think let's see. I mean, we've got a relatively good friendship, 55%, so I guess I'll make the offer generous. Josh accepts your offer with humility. Looks like you've won, he says. His voice sounds miserable, though it's hard to see his face because he's apparently not paying enough for a good video connection anymore. Nonsense, Josh, you say. I'm happy to combine our efforts going forward. You're too kind, he says. Thanks. When you quote your offer, Josh sounds relieved. He realizes you're being generous and he appreciates it. You have the feeling that something big will happen soon. If you don't propose to Tammy now, you may not get another chance for a while. Weddings are elaborate things after all. Do you propose to Tammy? So I'm going to leave it here at this point. Give us something interesting to go to tomorrow, because I'm a lot more tired than I thought I was. I have seemed to make quite a few reading mistakes today, but I hope we're enjoying the story as much as I am. I'm having a great time with this game, actually. I don't know where it's going or if it's going towards a conclusion at some point, but it's definitely an interesting time. But yeah, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great evening, and make sure your choices are good robot choices or something. See you, everyone. And I'm going to stop recording and stop streaming now.